In today's video, we will talk about equations of motion. Equation of motion of an object describes the motion of an object. It all starts from Newton's second law. If we were to apply this equation to a system comprised of a single object, say moving along an x-axis, like that, assume the net force acting on this object is given by F net. So Newton's second law takes the following form. F net equals m acceleration. Acceleration in terms of x is quite simply x double dot, where x double dot refers to d2x dt squared. If we know the net force, then we can rewrite that equation in the following form. Net force over mass. This corresponds to the equation of motion for the system. If you want to know the details of this motion, then of course you need to figure out how the position of this object changes with time, in a case of which you need to solve this second-order differential equation. X along with x dot, which is the speed or the velocity of the object, gives the details for the motion of this object, and the motion is solved. So these equations describe in detail completely the motion for such an object. Now let's look at this problem that asks us to find the equations of motion for the system consists of a sliding object with mass m on a circular track of radius r for very small angle theta. So basically what you have is, if theta is small, then this object goes all the way under the influence of gravity up to a certain point, and then it reverses. So basically what you have is a simple harmonic motion. Let's get the equations of motion for the system using the force approach. So let's look at this object on its way up like that. The free body diagram for such an object is pretty simple. There's only one force, namely its own weight, mg. The component of that weight in that direction will try to slow this object as the object goes up in the circular track, and at a certain point it would reverses its direction and come back towards the equilibrium position. So let's try to calculate this component of that weight using trigonometry. So this is 90 degrees. You can take this angle to be alpha, where alpha is 90 minus theta. What that means is this has got to be alpha, because this is theta. Theta plus alpha is 90 degrees. This line here extends from the center of the circle, and this is the tangent. So together they make 90 degrees. The motion of this object is along this arc. Let's call the distance s. So the equation of motion is m times s dot, which is m times acceleration, equals to the net force. The net force is here w parallel. And this w parallel, as you can see, equals mg cosine of that angle, cosine alpha. Cosine alpha means sine theta, because alpha plus theta is 90 degrees. Now we have to put a minus sign here because the net force opposes the direction of motion. So equation of motion becomes m as double dot equals minus mg sine theta. Now from geometry, you see this is s, this is r, and this is theta. So that means s equals to r theta. Theta is measured in the units of radians. So the left-hand side can be expressed in terms of theta. S double dot equals r theta double dot, because r is a constant. So we write r theta double dot. That is the angular acceleration of this object as it moves, equals minus mg sine theta. M goes away, And since theta is very small, sine theta can be taken to be approximately equals to theta in radians. So the above equation will simply become theta double dot equals minus g over r theta. So there you go. This is the equation of motion for that system. If you notice, this is just a differential equation for a simple harmonic motion. Familiar with this? So that means g over r is the square of the angular frequency, or 4 pi squared over period squared. What that means is the period for such a motion is just 2 pi square root r over g. So you see the information that can be obtained from equation of motion. And if you're interested in determining the time-dependent function of theta, we know it is just a simple harmonic motion, so it is described by an oscillatory function, a sine square root g over r t, or b cosine square root g over r t, or any of the combinations. We can obtain the same equation of motion using energy approach. So let's look at the following system from energy point of view. When the object is at that part of that circular track, it would have certain amount of gravitational potential energy and kinetic energy. I'm going to take this level here to be the level where the potential energy is 0 joules. So the total energy of the system, which is a constant, equals the sum of the gravitational potential energy and kinetic energy. As we have discussed before, this length, the arc length, is s, and s equals to r theta. So the speed is r theta dot. So what that means is the kinetic energy of this object equals half times mass times the square of that speed. So r squared theta dot squared. Now let's look at the gravitational potential energy. When the object is at this height, namely h, we have to first compute h. H from the diagram equals this entire distance, which is r, subtract that distance. This distance, or that distance, equals r cosine theta from trigonometry. So h becomes r minus r cosine theta. What that means is the gravitational potential energy of the object when the object is there is mg r1 minus cosine theta. So that means the total mechanical energy of the system is U plus K. So U is mg r minus mg r cosine theta, that's this term, plus K. K is half m r squared theta dot squared. Now let's take the time derivative of this entire equation. Since E is constant, its time derivative has got to be 0 because it does not change with time. The total energy of the system is constant. So taking d over dt, the left hand side is 0. This is constant, so that's going to be 0 as well, minus mgr. When you take the derivative of cosine theta with respect to time, that is d over d theta cosine theta d theta dt using chain rule. This is just theta dot. So that becomes minus sine theta theta dot. Now the last term, the kinetic energy term, plus half mr squared, again using chain rule, d dt theta dot squared equals d d theta dot squared times d theta dot dt. This will give you 2 theta dot, and this one simply gives you theta double dot. So let's simplify the above equation. 0 equals, this minus will kill that minus, so mgr. Theta is very small, sine theta approximately equals to theta in radian. Theta dot plus, this will cancel that too, so mr squared theta dot theta double dot. Few things will cancel. M will cancel, r will cancel one of the r from the second term, theta dot will cancel this theta dot. Now let's rearrange this equation and express theta double dot. Theta double dot will become minus g over r theta, which is the equation of motion that we have obtained earlier using the force approach. So you see, the same equation of motion can be obtained using both the force method or the energy method. Both have their own advantages. For some problems, the force method can be easier to handle, while for others, the energy method could be much more easier to manipulate. Lastly, we provide the viewers with a challenge. Now let's assume that this track has friction associated with it, which means while this object is moving on the track, there is friction between the surface of the object and the surface of the track. Let's assume the coefficient of kinetic friction is mu k. Can you write down the equation of motion for this case? Of course, you can use either the force or the energy method to do it. Please write your answers in the comment sections. As always, thank you for watching.